Okay, testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excuse me, just had breakfast. Hillary made breakfast for us. Brought it over. Today's date is December 29th of 2021. I'm using Mandycam to make this video. It's set for 30 frames per second, 1080p format. This is going to be a short video. I just wanted to pass some information on to you. Don't need to go into a bunch of details, but this should be coming tomorrow. I'll report on it, but I'm not going to do a review or anything. It's been well reviewed, and there's a lot of great reviews of it on YouTube. This keyboard will be going over on this computer that's over here, and right now I change things around so much. Right now I think that's the Chrome box. Yeah, right now the Chrome box is operating. A few days ago my Dell PC was operating for a week or so, and then before that I forget. So anyway, that's coming tomorrow. But what I wanted to not so much warn you about, because there's all types of people selling these flash drives with is that upside down? Yeah, not now. I ordered this. Well, let's see. I ordered it on December 22nd, and it has Linux on it, has Ubuntu on it, and now I have installed off and on Linux for a long time. I've been, burned it onto DVDs and installed it. A few times I've, purchased something like this to install it. And this looked good. It came with sort of a, not much information, but a little paper with some information about it. May have to blow my nose here. So anyway, it came. Now what you need to do with these flash drives, unless maybe there's some that do it something differently, I don't think so, is you have to set your computer to boot. You have to change the boot. This was going into what was installed on a Dell PC, and with that computer and with the BIOS, you hit the F2 key while it's booting up, and then it kicks into where you can change your BIOS. And then what you do is you go to the booting thing, move over to the booting thing, and then you go down to the first device, which is probably set for booting from a hard drive, and then you change that to boot from a USB device. And of course I did that. And the install looked good. Everything went smoothly. Then when it got to the end, just at the end, I thought, okay, when this reboots, I'll have Ubuntu. And like I said, I've run Ubuntu for, I can't even say anything today, many times. As a dual, when you boot up, you can go into Windows or go into Linux, all types of things. I've installed it, burned it to a DVD, and then, installed by a DVD. So when I went to get ready to, a message popped up. I forget exactly how if I'd have known, I would have, recorded the screen or something, just so I can show you. But it said something like, we detect an error, and this error has been happening, and it's uncorrectable. And then it seemed like that must have had built into it going to a screen that it looks like what they use. I haven't messed with that very much, or hardly at all, where people who are software people and people who work with, programs, Linux or whatever, and then it had a whole bunch of things. Okay, such and such an error was detected on such and such, and the following was done, and it was a long thing. I'm not sure if it was even a second page, but I thought this is not good, because there wasn't anything that says here's how you fix that. So anyway, then that was like the end of it. It didn't reboot. But anyway, I booted it up. I forget exactly the steps I took. I booted it up, and large text came up on the screen, and then finally I could see like the start, the start page, but you couldn't hardly see because the thing was set so large, all that type of stuff. Anyway, don't buy this from these people. The only problem is, see, there's a whole bunch of people, and some of them may be the same people, and I think that maybe they had made up 100 or 1,000 of these flash drives, and it's not going to work. But I think they're going to keep selling them, and so just don't. I'm returning it. Already contacted them. They said that when I returned it, they would refund my $18 or whatever it is. So beware. Now, before I got that, this is Linux Mint, and I don't think it's from the same company. You don't know. Okay. And it installed perfectly. No problem. There again, I installed it on that same computer. And you need to, of course, you need to follow, I guess, the instructions that come with these things. But what you need to do is, like my other computer's a Dell, and a desktop computer. So when you're booting up, you hit F2, and then the BIOS thing pops up, and then you move over to installation, and then you go and set the installation for the first thing that pops up there. The installation is going to be from a USB device, and this worked perfectly. It worked perfectly, and I installed in the past at least once or twice Linux Mint. I looked over the newest version, which this is, and I've still got it, and I may in a few days just decide to go with that. But I went to eBay, and eBay has had some really, buyer beware. They've had multiple people on there were in the past, and I'm sure it's probably continued, have sold like a flash, a memory, device, a device for extra memory, and they've had, let's see, what are we up to, like 250 gigabytes. I'm not sure at what point. This is a while back too. And let's just say that yeah, there were 250 gigabytes memory devices like this, sticks like this, and you know, people would think, oh wow, you know, for, and I forget what the price was, you know, for $10 or $15, I can get a terabyte on one of these, you know, one of these things or something like that. And those people bought those things, and there wasn't even, you know, the amount of memory on it was insignificant, you know, was, so, I mean, they ripped off a lot of people. I'm not sure how many people got their money back, or probably few, if any, you know. So you do need to be careful of these, you know, of these things. Especially, and oh, by the way, I have, did I mention? I've got a, yeah, I hadn't mentioned it. I ordered a flash drive, a stick, with Ubuntu Studio on it that should be coming in from the seller. And it's, like I said, you know, buyer beware. You know, look at the reviews, and then use your, you know, also use your common sense, like on that stick thing when people were, I saw some people on message boards or whatever that, you know, purchased one expecting, I forget how much, 500 gigabytes or a terabyte or something, and at first, you know, in the very beginning it was like, I didn't know they had, you know, and then it turns out, of course, they didn't, you know, it was, and they had just put a little bit of memory on the thing, or bought ones that were defective or something, and they were selling them. So, you know, just be aware of the situation. I guess, you know, maybe you need 2 or 3 of something like this, or maybe you're a teacher or somebody who needs to buy, you know, one for every member of a, you know, school class or something. They're going to, you know, the students or something, just, you know, buy 1 or 2 or something, you know. Or maybe there's some type of a place that you can really trust, you know, just be aware. So, oh, I have run Ubuntu Studio in the past, and they loaded up, although you can tell it not to load up, which the first time I used Ubuntu Studio, I had everything put on it, you know, all the, don't take anything, you know, just, or actually when it's booting up, you can tell it, you know. And for the first time when you're installing it, you know, when you're installing it. And I only wanted it for, you know, doing my written blog with WordPress or whatever it was at that time, and for YouTube videos at that time. And I really didn't need the photographic, you know, other than the basic, very basic you would normally get. But I put everything on it the first time. I couldn't do anything with with images because of the complexity of the photographic software. I didn't have any trouble with, I don't think, with the, you know, video software. But the audio, I couldn't even, you know, I couldn't even make it work because it's very complicated. It has tremendous power. I mean, you know, tremendous power. But you know, so if you're doing that. By the way, I did like Ubuntu Studio. Well, I didn't like it because of the audio thing. And then the next time, you know, that I installed it and I said, you know, set the system not to install anything other than the very basic, you know, photography part. So, But anyway, so I've got Ubuntu Studio coming, and I forget, maybe I think a week or something it'll be here. I've continued to have trouble with my audio my audio on this computer. I forget his name, a guy who, well, several people, but a guy who left a very detailed thing about my problems, and I didn't do it fully. He said, here's what to do, down the list. And I did a little bit of that, but I didn't, and he said, do the entire thing. And what he was saying was, for the Blue Yeti and for the Elgato Wave 3, for these, take off all their software and just use their device as a USB microphone or something like that. And so I see now that he's right. I have a problem with this Beeline that I bought. Okay, let's hang on here a second. Let me go to orders and go to Beeline. By the way, I'm running Windows 11 on that device. Okay, what did I do wrong? Why? Is it not a Beeline? Okay, I'm going to go here. Maybe it's not Beeline. If I had the box here, no, okay, never mind. When it came, I got it from Amazon. Oh, Beelink. Let's try that. Go to orders. What did I just say? Beelink. There it is. Now, I upgraded the memory on it, but as soon as I got it, I've got it up to, let's see, 32 gigabytes now, I believe. When I got it, as soon as I got it, word came out that the microphone input, the AC, 3.5 jack that you use to plug in a microphone or whatever, that there was static on it, and that it was defect. There was a defect, and I'm not sure if they offered a solution. I don't think there was any solution, or I would have taken it. Well, the solution would be, I could just have returned it and waited till they had taken care of that problem. I could have just bought a slightly different version or something. But what I did is I purchased for $100 Sound Blaster, the little Sound Blaster. I forget which one it is. And they named their, the names, and you don't know which one is like moved on. You don't. I mean, it's just. I don't care for. I'm talking about Sound Blaster and their Sound Blaster cards. But anyway, I got it in, and I got it working. I paid, it cost me $100 to get that device, and things worked. But as I got new microphones and all this kind of stuff, and eventually it just, things just did not go, well. And what I should have done is actually I would have saved $100 for the sound on the Sound Blaster card. And actually that was probably, and also I could have returned it, but I should have just returned it, but I wanted to play with it right away and use it, and it just created, a problem. But the gentleman who left the thing saying, uninstall every bit of the software for these cameras, or for these microphone systems. And I think that would have been, the correct thing to do, because I did, I have them sitting here. I'm not using right now the Blue Yeti X, and I'm not using the Elgato 3, and I'm using a very cheap Chinese USB webcam. Although I have, about a $200, Elgato, Avery Media. I love this. And I have other USB or Logitech, C920E and all that kind of stuff. A bunch of those things, drawer full of them. So I'm not sure at this point what I'm going to do. Right now this is apparently working. I've got it set at 1080, 30 frames per second. Maybe the next video I'll make, and I'm using the audio from this. So from this cheap Chinese, unbelievably cheap. Because I think that this was, I believe, like I said, I've got a drawer full of those things, different ones. I think that's before our COVID virus situation, because Logitech, webcams were coming down in price, and getting better and all that kind of stuff. And then as soon as the virus hit and people were working at home and kids were working at home and they needed whatever, the price of these cameras went way up. And I bet they're still up. Anyway, so I'm still going to be playing around with this video, with the audio. And I hope you can stand it. And then maybe I will go in and just rip out the software in there for the fancy, Blue Yeti X, the Elgato Wave 3, and the little LiveCam Ultra. I hope you're doing a good job for this video. Anyway, thank you for watching very much.